关注旅行、生活、人和故事。Hello， 大家好，欢迎收看今天的视频，我是Youzang。今天在温哥华呢，我将会去认识一位新的朋友。在他的 Instagram 自我介绍当中，他说他是一位保险经纪、奥林匹克运动会的运动员，他也是一位演讲家。同时呢，他又在生活当中是一个爱品酒和喜欢讲笑话的人。他的 Instagram ID 呢叫做 The Blind Guy， 所以其实他是一位失明的人士，是一位盲人来的。所以我很好奇，他了解世界的方式跟我有什么不一样的地方？同时呢，他是怎样通过自己的努力来获得前面那些不可思议的头衔呢？今天有机会会去到他的家中，跟他坐下来面对面的聊聊天。好了，一起带大家去认识一下他吧。Hi Donovan.
Hi Jackie, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Me too, very nice to meet you. So would you mind to introduce yourself?
My name is Donovan Tildesley. I live in Vancouver, British Columbia in the Kitsilano neighborhood. I'm 37 years old. I work full-time as an insurance broker. I swim, used to swim competitively, but now swim recreationally. I love downhill skiing and other outdoor activities. And I'm also completely blind and have been since birth.
I have been spending some time on your Instagram to know you before today. I saw that you are a Paralympian, so what is the story behind that?
Well, you know, I was very lucky to have parents who exposed me to a whole variety of different activities. One of them happened to be swimming. And I really enjoyed my time in the pool. As a child, I remember racing my dad back and forth across the pool. When I was 9 years old, I joined my first swim team and enjoyed that, enjoyed swimming faster and improving my times in competition. When I was almost 12 years old, I was in Kamloops and I was at a swimming competition there, the BC Games for Athletes with Disabilities, and found out about the Paralympics. Some athletes were going to compete that summer in Atlanta. That's where they were in 1996. And I kind of thought, well, maybe that's something that I could aspire to if I continued to train and to swim and to improve. Basically, 3 years later, my dad started coaching me full time. My dad came forward, agreed to coach me. And within the space of a year, I made the Paralympic team. And at the age of 16, I won a bronze medal in the 200 individual medley at my first Paralympic Games in Sydney, Australia. And I continued on from there, winning 2 silvers and a bronze at the Athens Games in 2004. In Beijing, I won a bronze medal and also had the honor of being Canada's flag bearer at opening ceremonies. That was in 2008. In 2012, I competed in London, but by that time, the world was getting faster. I was getting older and I had a knee injury, so I didn't medal then. And then in 2014, I decided to stop competitive swimming, but even still to this day, swim on my own free time recreationally just to stay in shape. And aside from the Paralympics, I've had the honor of competing at World Championships, winning gold medals there, breaking some world records, traveling around the world, really having an incredible 14 years experience being on the national team.
Do you still keep all the medals and the trophies?
I keep some of them. I don't have all of them. I think some are in a case somewhere, but I do keep one Paralympic medal that I show off whenever I do speeches to different people. Even though I don't have them in a big display case, I still keep them in my mind because they were incredible times for me.
Wonderful. I also can see you do a lot of skiing in your Instagram posts, right? So
yeah.
How did you start skiing?
My dad suggested that I get on skis at the age of 3 years old, and he put me in a ski lesson. I love the mountains. I continued to develop as a skier. When I was 10 years old, one of my guides told me about this incredibly steep run on Blackcomb Mountain called the Sudan Couloir, which is 57-degree angle steepness, and you have to drop in off a cornice and you shouldn't fall, otherwise you might slide to the bottom. Mm-hmm. And I decided I would make it my goal to ski that run. I made that happen in 5 years' time when I was 15, and I've just continued to ski since then with different guides. A lot of my skiing has been done at Whistler with the adaptive program there, but I've also trained friends to guide me down the hill. I use a walkie-talkie system with a microphone, and the person guiding me skis behind me with their microphone and tells me where to go. Hopefully a third person with us, just making sure that people aren't getting in our way, because it could be quite busy sometimes in the mountains. And Skiing is very therapeutic for me. I just like being in the outdoors and pushing myself physically and enjoying the speed, and not to mention just enjoying the social aspect of skiing and sharing the adventure with other people. Most recently, I went on a backcountry skiing adventure. We had to get helicoptered in to the lodge, and we'd have to hike with skins on the back of our skis in order to find good powder. And this was organized by a guy who used to be a heli ski guide, lost his vision over the period of 1 to 2 years, and decided to start a not-for-profit organization called Braille Mountain Initiative, getting blind and visually impaired people into the backcountry. And it was an incredible, life-changing experience, spending the week with these guides and 2 other blind skiers at this wonderful lodge, Purcell Mountain Lodge, up near Golden.
Sounds way more challenging, right, for the backcountry part?
It's more challenging. What's more challenging is the snow is a lot deeper because you don't have the groomers, like the machines that come in and groom the runs every day. So if fresh snow falls, you've got to make your own tracks through. And the first few days, there were about 50 centimeters. So I'd be sinking in that snow up to my knees sometimes and falling over. So I had to really readjust how I skied in order to ski in the backcountry.
Okay, wonderful. So you do skiing. I also see that you do rock climbing.
Yep.
What kind of other activities do you do?
Rock climbing, yeah, it's something I've started a few years ago. I really like climbing outdoors. I do some hiking. I also own a tandem bike, so I'll go out on the bike a few times a year, and will participate in different charity events on a bike, as long as I have a good partner steering the bike in front of me. I know how to play golf, but don't do it a heck of a lot. I want to get into sailing. That's another of my goals, to figure out there's sailing for people with different disabilities, and I think it would be fun to find a summer sport to get me out on the water. I also want to learn how to scuba dive. Unfortunately can't go to learn this year, but there's a guy out near Ottawa who teaches scuba dive for people with different disabilities, and I'm going to go learn from him hopefully next summer. I'll try any sport because I just enjoy being outside.
Have you ever do bungee?
Yes, I've done bungee jumping. I've done it twice. The first time was pretty crazy. It was while I was traveling in South Africa, and we went to, at that time in 2014, the highest bungee bridge, which is 216 meters.
Whoa.
And that was quite an exhilarating feeling, jumping off that bridge and just falling and bouncing back up again. I think I actually prefer skydiving to bungee jumping because bungee jumping is very much of a free fall, whereas skydiving you catch the air at a different altitude, and it's more like you're flying than falling like a stone.
Can I say you have way more trust than me to other people, right? Because the people will say you're ready to jump, and you jump.
Well, you have to. If I didn't have trust, I wouldn't have fun adventures. I'd just be stuck here in my little apartment, and I wouldn't know what a big world is out there around me. So you've got to, in order to live, you've got to trust.
Before we met today, we communicate with our smartphones. I know you use your smartphone, so can I ask you, how do you use your smartphone every day?
All iPhones have a built-in screen reader software for blind people called VoiceOver. And so basically what happens, and it'll be maybe hard to demonstrate on the camera, but so as I move my finger through the phone, it talks to me, and if I want to open an item, I'll just double tap on that item. I'll voice dictate to send texts or to make captions for my social media posts. I can, use the Uber app and all the different apps. I think I only got an iPhone in the fall of 2017. Before that, I had an old Nokia phone with, a N80. What do they call it? N86. It was one of those T9 keyboards. So you have to push a letter 3 times to get the right, or a number 3 times to get the right letter. I really was resistant to getting an iPhone because I thought, it doesn't have buttons. I'm not sure if I'll like it very much. But I had to when my old phone died, and I realized how life-changing it was to have an iPhone, especially traveling to be, sitting at the beach or at a pub and want to get an Uber somewhere, or to have friends take photos of me that I can post to social media. It opens up so many doors, and I wouldn't look back. But a lot of, thankfully with the Apple products, it's built-in accessibility for anybody with a visual impairment.
Are you willing to switch to an Android phone?
No, iPhone's better. I think it does better with sharing things from iPhones. Like, so say somebody takes pictures and you send them to an iPhone, you can AirDrop, you can do different commands like that.
Exactly.
So no, I think you can send larger attachments. So no, unless something really bad happens with iPhone, I'm going to stay with iPhone for the foreseeable future.
I also know you are an insurance broker, right?
That's right.
So that is your full-time job, I guess?
It is.
So how did you decide to choose this as a job?
I think it chose me. My first ambition in life was to work in radio, to be on the air, to make people laugh, to play music, to do opinion, maybe talk show. But I also realized that radio is not the most secure career, and it involves moving around quite a bit, especially when you're getting into the business. And so I didn't know if I really wanted that, but I knew I loved people. And I remember in 2007 to 2008, I was working for the Royal Bank, for RBC. They had a program, bring Olympians and Paralympians on board to act as community ambassadors. So basically, they would go out to different events and talk about their story as Olympic and Paralympic athletes and RBC's involvement as sponsors in the games. And you would also learn about different things within the bank. I was working for RBC. I was thinking of working in their visa call center. And then my now boss, Gord Buntain, one of the owners of Buntain Insurance here in Vancouver, found this out when he was doing my dad's insurance, and he said to my dad, no, Donovan needs to come work for us at Buntain because he'll just get lost in the shuffle in a call center. And I never really thought of insurance. I didn't know much about it. I thought it might seem rather boring, but I thought here was somebody offering me a pretty decent job. And I'm not sure if you're aware of the statistics, but 70 to 80% of blind and visually impaired Canadians are either underemployed or unemployed. So not making what they're worth or don't have jobs altogether. And I didn't want to be that statistic. So started with them, did the necessary exams. It was difficult at first because we had to figure out how to make their systems work with my system, and not everything did work, but I realized how much I love sales and being able to talk to clients and get to know them and help them with their insurance needs, and also competing with other people in the company in terms of how much sales we could make. And I also realized that some of the tasks that I couldn't do, that I struggled with, like that weren't accessible in our systems, I could ask another colleague to do and maybe share some of my commission. And that way, I've been there since November 2008, and I gotta say, I couldn't think of a better place to work or a better group of people to work with.
Wonderful, thank you so much. So how would you describe your life like without sighting? And what are the good things and bad things to you of that?
I gotta say, there's a lot of advantages to not having sight. If you're, for instance, going to Disneyland or Playland, they let blind people and people with other disabilities cut through the exit line, so you don't have to wait in line for the rides. Same at the airport. You might get somebody pick you up on the golf cart, and so you don't have to wait in that hour-long line to get through customs or security. You meet, at least I meet, some very interesting people because I'm always reaching out and asking for help to get to different places. That's how I connected with you, was through your friend Yi, who was picking me up on a Papa ride, which is a ride share from Whistler. And we had a great conversation as we drove the 2-hour drive home, the Sea to Sky Highway. So I think being blind has opened doors, has allowed me to meet people, to experience things that others maybe not have experienced, because I need to be more open and trusting and put myself out there to the world. So there's some real positives. Challenges for sure. Driving, I wish I could drive. It would be great to be able to hop in a car and drive up to Whistler or the interior or the island and not have to worry about finding a ride to get there. Another challenge, it's a lot harder meeting women. Some women aren't really sure how to deal with a blind person or whether or not they'd really want to date a blind person. I've definitely had some amazing experiences and some good relationships, but it definitely adds that because you don't have the whole body language. You can't look at them and tell that they're interested in you unless they tell you or do it by touch, and not everybody has the confidence to do that, and nor do I unless I have the conversation. You know what I think the biggest challenge is? People look at me and they see the things that I do and what I've achieved, and they think that I'm somehow better than I really am. And yeah, I've done some cool things in my life, and maybe it could be considered inspiring by some people, but really I'm just a regular guy who enjoys adventures, enjoys living, needs to put himself out there to appreciate the world. It's tough to always be seen as inspirational when you yourself don't always have that same vision as other people do of you. And it sometimes can get a little tiring. Somebody asked me a while, do you get tired of being called inspirational? I'm like, yeah, sometimes. But I also, in the same vein, realize that people need people to make them laugh, make them smile. And if I'm helping somebody out in some little way to be the best self they can be, then I'm happy to do that. But as long as once the people, the good friends I have know that I'm just a regular guy who has faults, has challenges in life, likes to go on crazy adventures, but, is not superhuman by any means.
Do you want to tell us more about you? Anything you want to add in this interview?
What can I add? One of my side hustles, as it were, is inspirational speaking, going to different schools, community groups, talking about my experiences as a Paralympian, as a person who works in business, and keys to success. I've also done some stand-up comedy. I eventually would like to start a podcast. I'm hoping in the next year to 2 years. My first idea would be about the history of Vancouver radio, because I'm really passionate about radio. I love to make people laugh. I love it when people can laugh at me and make fun of me. I love to live life to the fullest and encourage everybody around me to do the same thing. And if I could leave people with 2 pieces of advice, always surround yourself with people who are more successful than you, who will push you to be your best self, who will challenge you on certain beliefs, ideas that you hold in your mind. And what I always like to finish off presentations with is the lines from the great Henry Ford of the Ford Company. And that's, if you think you can or you think you can't, then you're right. That's it.
Okay. This morning I just watched your Instagram video. One of it is doing a commercial, radio commercial for Mr. FM, right?
Yeah.
You are doing so great. So
wow.
Would you like to try some Chinese?
Well, I only know the bad words in Chinese.
What Chinese language do you know?
Oh, Cantonese, the bad words in Cantonese. I shouldn't probably say those on camera though.
What is that? That's a bad one. Where did you learn that?
Oh, I think I learned that. I was on a trip with a bunch of guys. I was on a trip and they kept saying it to me, and I thought, because they said it so fast, I thought they were saying tickle me. Because I thought it meant tickle me. And then I found out later, no, it does not mean that.
You know what that means, right?
Oh, I know exactly what it means.
Okay, in my video, I always say as an ending of the video, like 点赞、订阅、收藏。谢谢. It means subscribe, follow, forward it, and thank you so much. Do you want to try that one in Chinese? 点赞、订阅、收藏。谢谢你的观看。
谢谢您的观看。
Yeah, that's wonderful.
See, I thought dim sum, it almost sounds like what you would eat on Sundays. No, that's dim sum, that's not dim sum.
Yeah, I know Chinese is so hard, right? My daughter always say that.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I had a great time interview with you, so thank you so much.
Thank you, Jackie. I got it. You're not Jackie Chan, right? Like, so if I was going to say the wrong thing, I was worried.
If you can see me, no, I'm not Jackie Chan that old. No, I'm not. I'm quite young.
And you're probably not. You couldn't. You don't know. You're not a karate master.
I'm not.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jackie.
Wonderful. Thank you.